Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey, welcome to the program. September 13 is the date, 2022. By this time next week, I'm happy to report the Queen will be buried. Well, I guess she isn't buried. She's shoved in a crypt somewhere or something. God almighty. Is Susan there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, I hope?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, I remember last week we couldn't.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was the phone or not.
No, here you are.
Yeah, okay,
everything's good.
Good.
Good. So, did you watch the Emmys?
No, I did see. I did turn it on just in time to see that incredible acceptance song.
Oh, yeah.
That was something.
Yeah, I didn't even know who she was. But she's from that only network show that Abbott Elementary that NBC has, apparently. That the only show that the three old networks put out that even for, I don't know, got anything.
Right. And in which she is simply an actress. And if you don't know her from other walks of life, you don't know she's got that voice.
Well, you also don't know, because I read about it later, that she's had a 40-year career in television and theater. And
right.
So she's been, but this is the first, I guess, big award. And,
right.
And that's nice. Anyway, the one thing, first of all, I thought it was boring as hell. And I don't understand why, with all this work that it is put out, that they always just settle on like 3 or 4 shows, and in some categories, every actor in the show is vying for the same award. Yeah, right. I mean, it's award.
That's Succession.
Succession, and that happened with Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and whatever. Anyway, the thing of everything that struck me, it was this: when the person who won was announced, they had to walk up 3 steps. It looked like 3 steps to a stage, and I got to tell you, it was extraordinary how many women had to be helped up the steps. Now, they had to be helped up the steps, not because they were old. They had to be helped up the steps because of what they were wearing. Because
they were encumbered by these ridiculous dresses.
The dresses and the shoes. They, and even, like clearly, I mean, at one point, some of them just turned in desperation and looked behind them. And of course, the men who were sitting closest jumped up and helped them. And I thought, wait, there's just so many things wrong with this. Why in this day and age why are women still agreeing to wear garments that do not allow them to move independently? It is beyond.
No, I mean, the shoes that most of those women are wearing are the equivalent of foot binding.
Well, that's true. I mean, they're not for walking.
They're not for walking. They are injurious to your foot, to your back, your hips, your knees.
Yes, but Susan, they elongate the leg.
They elongate the leg,
making
to the eye of the beholder. Well, excuse my French.
Well, but so why do women?
The eye of the beholder.
But these women they would all say that they're, feminists. There were a lot of statements made about women having more. Even, I don't know. I just, it's beyond me. If you're going to wear a dress and you got the money to have one made for you, special, how about making sure that you won't trip over it? I mean,
that you can walk in it, and just hem it so that you can wear a shoe that doesn't hobble you.
My God, Lizzo got up from a she was.
Well, I saw that too, and he was fluffing her.
Well, he didn't know what to do. I thought that some of these guys are going to be literally enveloped in red tulle and never be seen again. God Almighty, ladies, can we stop playing along with this craziness?
Yeah, but you see, Lizzo's message, wearing all of that material in that big frou-frou-y dress, is that just because she's big doesn't mean she doesn't get to do what the skinny girls do.
That's right, or that she's beautiful and
right.
She pulls it off.
Right. So there's a message to hers that doesn't exist with the others.
It's just.
But well, yeah. My message to Lizzo is. So why do you want to be like them? Why shouldn't they just be like you and you dress,
Well, because they are. You know the answer.
I do know the answer, but I state frequently, I am in my post-mating stage, and I don't care about this stuff anymore.
Well, I was thinking the other day, speaking of that, how I love being old. Because, and I guess men can't say this, but women can't. Because I am liberated, truly, finally, absolutely liberated from this. And you realize how much it was a constant in your life.
How much maintenance.
Liberated from having to make yourself attractive.
Well, and let me tell this to you, though, dear sister, that in your liberation, you have emerged the other side, still the butterfly you always were. I mean, when you look great, when I do this, I actually don't look so good.
That is not okay. No, see, stop that. That's not true. That is not true. But when you are, I know some women feel like, oh, it's so awful. You walk down the street and men don't look like they used to, and you're just discounted. I'm thinking, what? Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like I don't like what that says about how I am discounted by them. But on my end, I am liberated from the stultifying, soul-crushing, it maims girls.
Yeah, constant judgment. Constant judgment of just people walking towards you on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Male and female.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Male and female.
Constant judgment. And if you are able to get to a point where you can say, I don't care what you think. I'm going to be comfortable. I'm going to live in my own real body. God Almighty, is that liberating? And I feel lighter as a result. I just am blown away by how I tolerated and lived with that burden for.
No, there is something absolutely wonderful about it. I mean, you've lived by yourself for many, many years, so you know about forgiving yourself. If you're living with someone, you have to fess up that you cracked up the car or, lost your, wallet or locked yourself out of the house, I mean, and you have to, and when I'm at this point in my life, if I do something stupid, I go, oh, and then I just go, that was stupid. And then I laugh and set about fixing it. That's
well,
it.
This is a joy. Yeah. So that is, you've settled on what the positive of being a single person is, of not having to, explain
yourself and your limitations. Rather, you can be accepting of oneself and almost revel in it.
Yeah. I remember I used to be so stunned when I'd be with somebody, married woman, and, most were, and, whatever it was, and they'd say, whoa, but I have to, you have to talk to the partner, the husband, this about it. And I always thought, God, I mean, I understand part of it is a good thing. Two people choose to live together. There has to be give and take. But often in male-female relationships, that is not an equal thing. And the woman is not in a position of power. I mean, that's the way marriage was intended to be. The man is the breadwinner, the woman is the helpmate. And I don't know. All I want to say is I so love not being a sexual object.
Yeah, me too.
God,
and I love being free of looking at other people thusly as well.
Oh, yes.
That went in both directions, and I just don't. The thought wouldn't cross my mind.
I do. I think I don't do this, but I do the other. What I don't do is every time I see a young people, mostly girls, young girls, teens, early 20s, I'm blown away by their beauty. Every single one of them. Every single one looks beautiful to me. And I realize that probably none of them feel beautiful because the culture doesn't allow it. All it does is tell them how many things are wrong with them. The other thing, though, that I do act on is when I see a beautiful old woman, if it won't be too outrageous, I tell her, God, you are so beautiful. I did it to a clerk in a state store the other day. God, she was beautiful. She was old and just had the most beautiful face. And as I was saying, I just got to tell you, you are so beautiful. And you could see, do you know how long it had been since someone said that to her? It's probably something she heard a lot when she was young, but not when she's old. And what a thing you can do for somebody. Next time you see an old, beautiful woman, and there are a lot of them, tell them.
Well, I just did, and you yelled at me.
No, I didn't yell at you. I yelled at you because you disparaged yourself. I was yelling at you for disparaging yourself.
Yeah, well, I just came from 5 days with my close friend in Santa Fe who, upon setting eyes on me for the first time in 3 years, said, "Wow, your body looks great."
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Honest to Pete. Anyway, just want to say, this all started with the women at the Emmys incapable of navigating 3 steps without falling on their faces. And that tells you something about what is considered the proper way for a woman to dress in 2022 America. What the fuck? It's all I have to say. Unbelievable.
Well, isn't it at the Cannes Film Festival that women have to wear high heels?
I don't know. Probably.
I think so. It's like
French.
a uniform, and when someone tried not to, they were, in trouble.
Unfucking. Anyway, from that, I want to go to. I read a story today that so blew me away by the extraordinary stupidity of the person it was written about. And I just want to say that this is one of those stories that shows that Darwin that principle, survival of the fittest, is not always true. There are exceptions. right?
Well, sure, duds get through. I mean, but within the evolved creature, there are they are still falling on the positive and negative scale.
Okay, right. So here's a story of somebody. I'll just give you the highlights. Here's a story of somebody who, at almost every juncture, made the wrong decision and almost died because of it. But again, here's where he escaped the Darwinian thing. He ended up not. He's a 43-year-old guy. He owns his own business. He installs lawn sprinkling systems. And he had just worked on one of his systems. This is somewhere in Florida. And it didn't take him long. And he had time on his hands. And he got in his pickup truck and he started driving around. I thought, well, just look around to see what's happening. And he went down this little road. And he didn't know where the hell he was. And he decided, I feel like I could take a walk in the woods. And so he did. He left his cell phone, mistake number one, right?
Yes.
Now
although I frequently just, grab a leash and start walking the DOG,
right. Right. My son is always saying, do you have your cell phone? When I'm like off to work. And I often don't. This has made me rethink that. Okay. Leaves his cell phone and just goes off into the woods. Well, you know what happens. He gets lost. He doesn't have a clue where he is. And he's in some brambles. He's getting ripped apart around here they call them jaggers, Susan. They call them jaggers.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. He's being jaggered to death. And then he comes upon this huge body of water. It's Lake Manatee.
And he's going to decide to swim across it?
Yes, of course. But I gave you, every decision is incorrect, right?
Yeah, but who sees a lake and decides to swim across it?
Well, he figures he can. It's actually a 1,200 acre reservoir. He knew the smart thing was to walk around it, but he was so sick and tired. It was getting dark. He thought, I just want to get back. I think the road is over there. So he starts swimming. Now, he also knew something before he got in that water.
What? There's alligators in there.
He still gets in. And not only that, it says...
No swimming, alligators.
Right. He figures it would take about 15
I haven't read
minutes.
this.
Oh, no, it is too funny. It would take about 15 minutes to cross. He figured he could swim it in 15 minutes. And at some point, much later than 15 minutes, he knew he was in trouble. And you know why he was in trouble? His work boots were weighing him down.
He'd gone all that time with his boots on? Okay, this guy just has like a 0 IQ. I mean, I don't mean to disparage the differently abled, but this guy is, excuse me, this guy is just plain old disabled.
Yeah. So he thought, man, I ain't gonna make it. So he wrestled his boots off, decided to go all the way, got his pants off, got his shirt off, and now he's naked. And he starts swimming the backstroke. That's when he saw the beady eyes looking at him.
Well, he's shimmering in the moonlight.
Yeah. Well, he tried to get away, but no. That gator grabbed his arm.
Oh, is this the guy that lost his arm and then was still 3 days in the woods after that?
Yes. Stop. Yes. The gator got his arm. The gator, this is interesting. What the gator then does is try to drown you. So the gator pulls him down. Now, I'll give him this. He fought back to the surface. Gator pulls him down again. He fights back to the surface. Happens 3 times. And at that point, the gator's thinking, screw this naked jerk. And went into what I guess is called the death roll. Good God. That is when an alligator intending to kill whatever it's got in its mouth essentially starts spinning around, rolling and rolling with it. And as the gator rolled him,
he ripped his arm off. Yeah. So listen, well, I'm going to put my breakfast away now.
Okay. And all I can say is, at that point, the gator maybe stopped for a minute because his mouth was full. And this idiot did get to the other shore. And he just laid down in the marsh. And like a lot of people who I don't think have a lot upstairs, he fell asleep. And when he woke up, his arm, I'll read this. If you're eating, stop. His once dominant right arm being reduced to a nub of exposed bone, mangled flesh, and a constant source of pain, he realized he needed help.
This is what it takes the average man to realize they need to ask for help. I mean, boy, is that a straight line waiting to happen.
Out the use of his dominant arm, and with half an arm, and for some reason it had stopped. I would think if your whole arm is ripped off, you'd bleed out. He did not. It somehow stopped bleeding, which is odd to me. But it stopped bleeding, lucky for him. He managed to climb a tree. Why did he climb a tree?
To see what was on the other side.
No.
So that the bars wouldn't get him. I don't know why.
No. To spend the next several hours shouting for help at passing airplanes.
Oh, because they can hear. That's like dogs reading the "Don't pee here" signs.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Hey! Down here! You see this? Hey! Anybody? Can you believe that? Anyway,
the moral of the story is: don't take a walk.
I'll read. Here's back to the story. It quotes him.
Nevermore.
I've got to get going. Can't sit around forever. So he ended up back in the lake. He stayed as close to the shore as he could. He ended up sometimes in chest deep water. And he saw those alligator eyes again. This time he got the hell out. He managed to get out before the alligator got him. He spent a second night sleeping in the swamp. The next day, he ends up eating what he said were semi-tasty flowers. And I mean, I cannot even begin to imagine. Eventually, I'll just cut to the chase here. He, well, this is pretty awful. His arm, the stump, was attracting flies.
Of course.
Yeah. And he said he was waiting to see the vultures. And he said, I was pretty much a dead man. But then he saw it. And what is the first sign of civilization that gave him hope that he was going to make it? An old beer bottle.
Well, he's approaching civilization.
Yeah, civilization. An old beer bottle. And yeah, from there, he starts wandering. He ends up actually seeing something that looks like a fence. And then he saw a man. And then, yeah. So he got rescued. 3 weeks in the hospital. Here's the funniest part, though. He scrapped his 23 career in sprinklers, and he plans to parlay his experience into a new one as a motivational speaker and comedian.
Well, you know, there's nothing better than being able to laugh at oneself.
Well, I hope he is. Yes, I guess he is. Yeah. And he says he's already got a gig lined up to talk to some 80 people in St. Petersburg. And he hopes it's the beginning of something wonderful. Now, excuse me. Wow, there is one lucky idiot. Somehow he got out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. This is where you say, okay, I guess there is a God and it wasn't his time. His name was not written in the book of life on the wrong side.
Oh, my God. Roger writes, you want to know why women are wearing those stupid shit today? Because they lost the sexual revolution. Breast augmentation, Botox, lip injections. They're even doing things to make their labia more attractive. Spandex in the room is the norm. Yeah. Well, you're right.
Yep. Well, here's the bad news, though. Don't sound so disdainful, whatever this person's name was, because guess who's joining right in and doing it with them?
The men are doing it now.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah, it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get out of urban areas, and girls call themselves girls, they still need a man. Daddy, daddy, daddy. They won't vote for women politicians. They attend churches where only men can lead. He says, I'm a bigger feminist than they are, and I'm a white male. The world makes no sense.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You can't you can't change things if people don't understand where they are. And the problem with truly getting feminism is it's not until you're a very old woman that you truly understand how culturally affected you are to the very fiber of your being.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is so true.
I mean, I've come to some of these thoughts through, I know people just are tired of hearing this, but through boxing, because it's taken me, well over a year to totally free my body from its, almost autonomic response to certain stimuli. It does not want to let me punch with abandon. I am just instinctively pulling punches. It's weird. So to overcome what I've come to see as this cultural imposition of me being weak and incapable and dependent is ingrained in the very fiber of my reflexes.
Gigi writes, is it wrong to judge people by their shoes? I admit I'm a Colbert fan. That seems like a, what do you call that? What is it when one sentence seems to take a total
non sequitur?
Yeah, doesn't that seem like a non sequitur?
Yeah, a cold Bears fan? Is that like the football team?
A Colbert.
Oh, a Colbert fan. Yeah, no, total non sequitur.
Like the guy. Is it wrong to judge people by their shoes? I admit I am a Colbert fan. Okay. Gigi, take us home here. I watch the show and end up commenting on the women who have to be helped onto the stage. Oh, okay. I rejoice when a female guest comes on with normal shoes and hops right up on the stage. I keep waiting for Colbert to assist some guy onto the stage, but it never happens. They're wearing flats, although more and more men are now deciding they get to dress as women. So they're wearing, they're wearing heels. They're wearing
dresses. Did you see Brad Pitt in his pink suit?
No, but you know what?
Yeah, it wasn't. Here's the thing.
Have at it.
It wasn't good looking.
Yeah. The clothes today are just hideous.
If you're going to wear a skirt suit, Brad, at least make it good looking.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and Margaret makes a good point. Those dresses are so long. Why wouldn't you just wear tennis shoes under them?
Well, of course. I don't. That is what you should do. I'm always very impressed with the brides that do that.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what you do? You lose the height. And you see the height is one of the things they're going for when they put on those.
We attempt to actually make ourselves the proportion of Barbie dolls.
That's right.
And to do that, you have to, like Lady Gaga, put a foot-high sole on the bottom of your shoes. At least half of hers are flats, but she's walking around on stilts all the time.
Well, yeah, it's beyond me. Fine. If you're, I guess if you're young and you can maneuver, go for it. But the bad thing is again, it's culture dictating that the way to be alluring and with it is it has a lot to do with this ridiculousness and also with consumerism that you have to keep buying shit, right? Yeah.
And by the way, when if the ultimate goal is to have sex with someone, eventually you end up with, naked looking like yourself. So I don't know. Why bother?
God. I don't know either. Well, okay.
Which, by the way, is one reason why I'm not ever doing that again.
Having sex again?
Yeah, I don't even want to have a new doctor,
Oh, you didn't see, Susan, I talked yesterday about it in the New York Times, the wedding thing?
Yeah.
The wedding part?
Yeah.
You would, okay, if you saw it, you would know where I'm going. There was a picture Sunday of a couple that just blew me away, caught my eye to be sure. And it was an old woman. I mean, an old woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And a young man. She was 80. I'm trying to remember. She was
82 and he was 45.
No, wrong. She was 84 or 86 and he was 41.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there is something you don't expect.
But it was actually, and it actually just happened in the most natural of ways.
Right. They were sharing a living place, and
she had a big place in New York, and She would take in people that needed places to stay. And he was a starving grad student and needed a place to stay.
He was a concert pianist.
Oh, he was a concert pianist, but also getting graduate.
He wasn't starving, but he had he had been sharing whatever. It is odd he didn't have his own place, but whatever. It worked out. Okay, I want to. Susan and I and my mom talked. Was that last night or the night before?
Night before, I think. Maybe.
Okay, and you said that you and Mom were watching.
Oh, the Hillary Clinton thing, and you had a conniption fit.
I went berserk. Now, wait a minute. But I want to talk about this. The Hillary Clinton thing. I didn't really even know it.
It's called Gutsy Women.
It's what it's so it's a series, a one-time show.
It's a series, but it's sort of just it's a continuing conversation with a bunch of different women, and so it's her. But you said Chelsea. It's her and her daughter. It's the two of them.
Okay, Chelsea and Hillary, and they talk to
comedians, they talk to dancers, they talk to regular people.
Okay, this is more than I asked you that on the phone, because the minute
and your mother found it very interesting.
The Gutsy Women thing.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's well done. It was interesting.
Well, good. Okay. My reaction, and I'm going here, even though it might get me into some difficulty, because I've been thinking more about it, because it was a strong reaction.
No, it was extremely strong. I thought about it. I was thinking about it this morning, going, "Geez." I mean, it's like you say, it's like the Three Stooges thing, where slowly I turn. You say
no,
Hillary
it's like
Clinton.
You said something like it's like you said something like, "Oh, it's a really nice day here," and I say, "It's a nice day," and and go nuts, right? It's like.
Yes, well, your mother and your sister know you well, dear, so we just changed the subject. We just went, "Oh, okay. You be you." No, you said something like, "Well, your pacemaker seems to be working well." So, here's the thing. And I guess I do want to talk. I want to talk about this. What set me off is you saying Hillary and Chelsea. And I believe I said, I can't stand them. Or something to that. You did. And then you went on to screaming about how Hillary refused to come to Wisconsin. And I thought, okay, we have a series of grudges.
But that...
You blamed her for
Donald
Trump.
Well, I did because
you absolutely did, which I think is a bit I think that's unfair.
Wrong. She ran an elitist bullshit. I am entitled. It's my time campaign, and I'm running against a clown. She took him for granted, and I got to tell you, no, she lost that election. Don't tell me she had more votes. She lost that election.
No, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to respond to you by saying that there were so many people that have that visceral reaction to Hillary Clinton, and they had it before the election, that they wouldn't vote for her. And they're the people that gave us Donald Trump. I'm sorry. I do not.
We don't know. You know what? We'll never know.
No.
Let's say it's you're right. I'm right. It was a host of miscalculations. Maybe they also miscalculated how many people couldn't do. there was Clinton fatigue.
I get it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how tired you were.
I voted for her.
I know, but a lot of people didn't.
But okay, so but the other thing is, I just have not. I want them to go away. Bill Clinton doesn't hold up after.
No, he does not.
He does not. So I don't like him. I don't like his. I don't even like. I look back at his presidency. I want to punch his lights out. I don't like her. She's an incredibly capable woman. If she maybe married somebody else, I don't know. And
she talks about that, about how people didn't forgive her for being married to him.
I want them to go the fuck away. And Chelsea, just go make your own, just go. I don't need another generation of it. Go away. I react that viscerally. Here's the other thing, because I've been thinking about it too. It's not just them. I have gotten somewhat sour, and this is really going to freak people out, on Barack Obama. I don't like many ex-presidents. I don't like the cashing in shit. I don't like, I was thinking of, now Barack's slightly different in that he was I don't know.
Well, what do you want him to do?
Clinton. I know, he was young. They were both still young, Clinton and him. They have to do something.
They got to do something. They got to have a life. I think, if it hadn't been for Trump, he would have just,
I would like to see Barack a little more politically engaged than he's been in these consequential times. And I'm sick of the sort of hero worship that goes on. I started thinking, so what is who's an ex-president that I have just unceasing admiration for?
Jimmy Carter.
Exactly.
Yep. He just went around building houses.
See, he could have now, and I was going to say, Barack, Clinton, they didn't come from wealth. So who can blame them for accumulating wealth based on their positions? But they were, by the time they got out of the White House, already well-heeled. Book deals, stuff like that. They're gazillionaires already. Fine. Jimmy Carter came from nothing. And he went back to nothing.
Well, he was a successful peanut farmer.
He went back to the farm. He went back to being a Sunday school teacher. He did one thing. He formed the Carter Center, which was not about him. It was about ensuring democracy in places that needed help. Where's the Carter Center now? I just have to say, I wish they'd go away, all of them. And I know that's not something that's shared, but that's my sense. God, the Clintons, the Obamas, they had 8 frigging years at the top of the world. Now, if you can't go off and quietly either make things better or, I don't know, chip in a little bit more, I'm not interested anymore.
Okay.
I've been trying to figure out why this visceral.
Well, I think I think it's just oversaturation of what you can't help but constantly be bombarded by all this stuff, and so maybe just living their lives feels like to you like they won't go away, but it's the various media and social platforms that insist that you know all about it all the time.
I don't know that it's that. I mean, the Obamas especially have gotten into media. That's what they do. And now you have Hillary and Chelsea using media because they have access. So it's not just that they're being covered, they have constant access, and they are using that. I don't know.
Well, but so is everybody else. I mean, I defy you to name anyone that has any bit of limelight that doesn't have their own podcast. Every time I turn around, so and so's on such and such podcast, and I don't even, I mean, so
everybody. I have one here,
and you have one.
Well, but that's my
well.
No, it's my job. I've had a job all my life doing.
Well, maybe they feel about these things as this is their life.
No, I think when you're like that, I mean, once you've had that level of attention, I suppose it's pretty difficult to. Well,
yeah, I mean, it is the things that happen to you. I during that, you get addicted to adrenaline, and you have to learn how to. How to live a normal life again. I guarantee you that is true because I've experienced it and I've watched it.
Well, here's another idea. This comes from somebody whose opinion I always value. This is from Milton. Lynn, I've heard and watched so many autopsies of the 2016 election. While all mention different aspects that caused Hillary's folly, from Bernie's half-hearted endorsement to Russian meddling to poor participation from black males, I contend that Hillary lost the election on the Friday night before the vote. If you recall, she ended her campaign with a huge rally in Philadelphia, where both of the Obamas spoke, and the festivities ended with performances by Bruce Springsteen. I don't remember this at all. Bruce Springsteen, Katy Perry, Bon Jovi, Beyonce, and Jay-Z, who comprised the final act with all of their dancers, all of them black, who make up their entourages. I can remember turning to my girlfriend and saying, "Damn, baby, Hillary just lost the election. I'm a black man, and that's almost too many colored folks up there for even me." There was one shot where it looked like Hillary was running for president of Zambia. She was the only white person on the entire stage. I wish this wasn't a big deal and would be viewed as simply Americans showing their support for the candidate of their choice. But I'm sure that scene, that singular 12-minute performance carried on all three major networks and all cable news shows, intimidated just enough white folks to tip the election in Trump's favor. I've never heard anyone else say it, and certainly can't prove it, but I'll always believe that concert, that final act, cost her the election. All right. Well, Milton, we'll add that to this pile of things.
Okay, and I would like to I would just like to point out that he is by and large correct that the last time I looked, Bruce Springsteen is white.
Yes, and so is John Bon Jovi. But they were overwhelmed.
Don't you always want to say Han Bon Jovi?
No. No, it never occurred to me. So, okay. Geez, I think Clinton fatigue had a lot to do with it. Misogyny had a lot.
Yeah. I mean, all of that.
Racial, reckoning.
We can all list 85 reasons why she was not the best candidate. Nonetheless, you cannot explain to me why she wasn't the better of the two. And
well, of course not. But that's not ours to say. We voted. we voted, but so did a bunch of other people, and so did not a bunch of other people. No, I was screaming about Wisconsin. She did not hold. If she had just carried Wisconsin.
Yep.
Okay, she held not one campaign event in that consequential.
I know. Well, Biden's already been here. He came to Wisconsin before he went to Pennsylvania, and his speech was better here. He was very tired by the time he got to Pennsylvania.
Well, look, I'm just saying that, yeah, there have been a million postmortems, but
and here's the other thing. It doesn't matter. We need to keep our eyes on the midterm prize. And we need not to artificially exhaust ourselves with rehashing that, and let's just get on to the next and solidify our majority.
This is true.
Well, that sounded enthusiastic.
Well, no,
that's the damn problem with democracy. You got to keep doing it.
No, it never ends. You can't ever
let your guard down. You have to safeguard. That was our mistake. We just all assumed that you couldn't break us. Well, here we stand, with the Elmer's glue, barely holding the teacup together.
The Washington Post had a piece a day or two ago about, speaking of people who never stop. That would be the other side. They got something new going on, and I don't think it's getting the kind of attention it should, because this is happening all over the country. It is a concerted campaign by Trump folks to paralyze local election offices across the country. Now, local election offices right now are what? Gearing up for the midterm election. And they're doing so under this cloud that the Trump folks have conjured. And they're doing it under often intimidation and threats, right? They've had to install, I've mentioned this before, they've had to install security in a lot of voting places. But all over the country, these election offices in a tiny rural county, in some urban areas, are being inundated with requests. And the requests come, in the mail. And they are public records requests. And interestingly, they are almost all of them identically worded. And they are asking for certain information about the last election. They talk about, in the piece, in Wisconsin, one person wrote and asked for 34 different types of documents. Now, this is stuff that doesn't seem like much, but these places don't have any people to spare. And in fact, they're desperately looking for more people, because a lot of people quit because they didn't think they'd like to give their lives to do a job like this because of the intimidation factor. So in North Carolina, hundreds of requests have come in. In Kentucky, officials say they've gotten requests for technical sounding documents, and they don't even know exactly what they are, and they're having to look. So what this is a use of what is your right as a citizen to request public records to essentially curtail the work that these offices need to be doing. And the article says this is like weaponizing a law that was aimed at promoting the principles of a democratic system.
Well, they have to charge. They have to charge for for time and everything.
Well, they have the but this crowd has the money too. Anyway, the people in these election offices are saying, the executive director of the Milwaukee Election Commission says, when people are asking for every single document under the sun, it really becomes difficult for us to do our jobs. And this is causing chaos as, the fall election approaches. This is clearly I guess what's so sinister about it is that it is a planned effort to stymie the work.
Right, to disable the office.
These offices.
Yep.
So this is the kind of thing. These Trump folks will not stop. Here's a woman who's involved in this. We believe that those who have nothing to hide nothing. So we need to see these things. Wow. And we just keep on doing our thing, which is not much of anything. I don't know. So that I found really upsetting.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, here's a shocker.
But can I just say this to you? The Freedom of Information Act has been weaponized since it came out. By all sides.
Here's something shocking. A new poll, this is from the Associated Press, shows that half of Americans say that our healthcare system is crap. Now, it should be 75%.
Right.
I mean, if Americans are finally waking up, stopping listening to the propaganda, we have the greatest healthcare system in the world. We have got the worst. Not to say we don't have great doctors, great institutions, but here's the thing that's missing. Access. People can't get to them. People can't afford them. People can't pay for them. We do not have your universal health care. We have a system that is the most frustrating, mind-blowing system that you could make up.
Well, and then you're leaving out all of the things, even if you have access, like the institutionalized racism of medicine. And there's been story after story about that. And it's and just the arrogance of Western medicine to begin with, which is based on white males. So women's health, people of color's health are underrepresented in the research. I mean, it just suffers because they only know how to treat a 5'10" white male.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say I was at least heartened to see that Americans were waking up.
And also the legislature can step in and tell you what treatments you can and can't access at will.
There you go. Yeah. So there's that. Well, I think we're done, Suze.
Okay. I was just getting close to a rant. Okay.
Oh, you were? No.
Yeah. Never mind. No, it's fine. I prefer to be zen.
Okay.
Well,
thank you. Are you going back to Chicago?
I am in about 20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. And I take it your basement wasn't flooded?
In Chicago?
You don't know that they had...
Well, how would I know? Flooded? I haven't been there.
I know, but okay.
I have a sump pump.
Okay.
And fortuitously, the lake that exists in front of my house whenever it rains has been permanently repaired because they tore out the old sewer and put in a new one.
Okay, so maybe you were okay.
So I think I'm okay.
But I guess a lot of folks weren't. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think I'm okay.
All righty. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And you guys enjoy the beautiful, God, I love fall weather. I just love it. And I'll talk at you. I have a guest tomorrow, actually. Not the whole show, but a little bit, telling you about a very interesting performance that has to do with, in large part, with an issue that is of great concern to many of us, which is access to abortion. And anyway, we're going to talk to the author of that tomorrow, about 10:30. Okay? See ya tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.